Hey everybody, it is Thursday afternoon, so it's time for our Animal Welfare Society Ask the Trainer question and answer session. We have a couple questions this week, but may be a little bit shorter. I have about 3 topics prepared. If you don't know me, my name is Dana. I am the behavior and training coordinator here at the Animal Welfare Society in Kennebunk, Maine. And each week we have been doing a Facebook Live question and answer. So next week we will not have one, and starting in June we're going to go to every other week. So the next live is going to be June 11th. Thank you so much to Roberta for covering for me last week. She has such great advice and has been an awesome partner here to have. So we love our training department here and have some great certified trainers to help answer any of the questions that you have. If you have any questions, please email us obedience@theanimalwelfaresociety.org, animalwelfaresociety.org, not the. And we will answer any questions. We can schedule private consultations. Hopefully, eventually, we'll have some group classes started this summer, maybe outside only. Still trying to figure out this brave new world. We do have some virtual class options, 6-week sets for Zoom classes that have been going really well and have been super fun. All right, so we'll get started with this week. And we have a couple of questions. We had somebody write in that she keeps getting some off-leash dogs running at her and her dog while she's on leash, and she didn't know how to handle it. So this comes up often, actually, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes there's just stray dogs. Sometimes dogs escape at a faulty gate, wherever it happens. It can be tough, though. So the best thing to do is be prepared. Hopefully, as a trainer, you're carrying some treats on your walks with you so that you can reward your dog for good behavior. And if you are, one of the things that you can do is if you see an oncoming dog kind of rushing at you, you can throw a bunch of treats into their face directly at them or in their area. For a lot of dogs who are just kind of excited running up to you, it can be really a way to stop them and be like, oh, there's snacks on the ground, and give you a few seconds to kind of get out of there with your dog. One of the other fun tricks, if it looks like a friendly dog who's coming and running over, you can ask really quick for a sit, because most dogs know how to sit. So if you ask them quickly and go, dog, sit, and you your big hand and you do your upward gesture or you're pointing, whichever you normally do for your dog, they'll probably be like, oh, I know that, and they do it. So that's another one. Okay, so for dogs who may not be quite as friendly, you can carry like a small squirt water bottle or just a regular water bottle that you can take the lid off of and throw the water or spray the water towards the dog who's coming. For people who hike a lot and you're out in the woods and this may happen, I know for protection against other wild animals, people may carry pepper spray or bear mace or something. You can always use that in real case of emergency. If it's a rainy day, you happen to be carrying an umbrella, you can open the umbrella right at you. Have a built-in shield there. Make a lot of noise, try to call for the dog's owner. If there's a gate or a fence that you can quickly kind of hop over to try to put a barrier between your dog or you and your dog between them, that can be really efficient. And if you're really concerned because there's like a ton of dogs, you can carry an extra slip lead or leash. So we use these at the shelter all the time. It's just a quick leash that if you have an unfamiliar dog, I usually keep one in my car too in case I see any stray dogs. You can kind of quickly slip it around their neck and hold them out at an angle away from you if they were not friendly, so that you have a quick catch method to be able to kind of control that. So those are my tips for kind of emergency things that you can do if you have to, if you kind of just do what you have to do in that situation, but those are a few things. One of the other things that training-wise you can do to help your own dog is teach your dog a cue to get behind you. So it's kind of like training a heel position where you might lead your dog around to your side And instead, you lead them around and have them kind of touch their butt or their nose to your butt or the back of your legs. And you may lure them around with a treat. You might use a target like touch and start to use the get behind cue to quickly move them away or have them block you. So that's a really fun behavior that we can teach as well. And if you have any questions or want to do it, let us know. We'll make a video on it or teach it in class, because it is really a fun and useful trick. It's also fun to teach your dog how to walk in single file, and that can be useful in this situation too. But it's a nice emergency cue if anything's kind of coming at you and you want your dog to quickly get behind. Cool. Oh, we're going to kind of rush right through a lot of things today. So then the two topics I wanted to kind of talk about today, because they came up in my lessons this week, were how to teach dogs to settle in a little bit or listen when they're overly over the top. And in training, we might call that over arousal. Hi, Beth. Nice to see you. So you know that like witching hour, or your dog is just like so over it and their mind's kind of gone, and you're asking them to sit or touch or do anything, and they're like no, and they might just be bitey, or they're just like really up here. So there's some training stuff that we can do to work on being able to have some manners or have a little bit more control during those higher levels. And my favorite game to play is tug. And I think we've talked about this tug a little bit before, maybe more as an energy management. But playing a game of tug has so many benefits for you and your dogs and your relationship and manners. First of all, we can kind of make this roller coaster of getting really excited and playing and settling back down. So how we first do this is I usually like to have a fleecy kind of rope toy that I work with, let's see if I can do this better, to kind of tug with my dog. It's not a toy that I leave out for them unsupervised. It's definitely more of a training and like play together type of toy. So we have this fleecy rope toy or a rope toy. Could be anything. It could be like a favorite squishy stuffed animal, whatever has enough room for you to tug with your dog. And we need to kind of teach them how to release it first. So I do a little bit of, if my dog I have them sit in front of me and then kind of hand them the toy without letting go, or I keep one hand on it. And then I might ask them to drop it and trade them for a treat or for another toy. So put the treat right next to their nose. So I get a nice release, and then I might ask them to sit. I give it to them again. I let them train a little bit. Yes, we did do a video on tug a while back, so thank you for putting that in the comments. We have a video on how to play tug. To go a little bit more in depth, we want to trade for it. We want to teach our dogs to release this before we get them really amped up. So giving them the toy, maybe playing a little bit, but really low energy on your part, asking them to trade. And then starting to see if we can put in I give you this toy, we tug, tug, tug. You're going to relax your body, kind of calm down, stop playing with them, and ask them to sit or drop it. And you might have to wait, and you might have to leave like a strong grip in your hands, but relaxed arms as they're still figuring out that you're not playing anymore. And once they back off the toy, or even if you have to trade for it, you can ask for a sit, you can treat, or you can just give them the toy back. As they get better at like, oh, we're done, drop it, and they release it right away, you can start to amp up your game a little bit, really play hard with your dog, getting their arousal level up, and then asking them to settle down. So this also creates a couple other things in. One, you get a dog who knows how to ramp all the way up with playtime and settle right back down and have some manners there. We also get a nice polite activity around toys, learning kind of take it, drop it. Here's yours, now we're done. And we're developing being able to use a toy and play as a reinforcer instead of treats. So for dogs who already know behaviors, you already taught them sit down and stay, and you don't want to give them a treat every time, we can start to incorporate some play as a reinforcing relationship building behavior there. When we end our tug game, I like to let my dog win. I like to let them win sometimes anyway, to build up their confidence, let them have fun. Some dogs like the part of the game the most that's playing with you. Some dogs like the being able to steal it, chase it, and shake it. So give them an opportunity to do what they like. And then I usually end the game with them winning, or maybe we end the game with them taking the toy away and then going for a walk together, or doing some other training, something else fun. So it's a really nice way to kind of get some ups and downs with our dogs emotionally and in their arousal levels, and be able to come back down. So that is one of my favorite games to just incorporate into training in general. Okay, I'm going to let you guys know I have one more thing to talk about, and it's not going to take me too long, so I don't even know if we'll go a whole half hour, but if you have any questions, anything on your mind, please start writing them in the comments, so that when we're done with our last topic here, that we have some things to talk about if there's anything on your mind. Okay, so the other thing that's been coming up a lot that I've been talking about with my students is, how do we practice at home? Like, what is the most beneficial way to practice our training and getting reliable results? A close friend of mine who trains a lot with his dogs was asking this the other day, and he's like, so let me set aside an hour, 2 hours during the day, and we just kind of work through everything around it. And actually, that is not the most effective way to do training, having such a tightly regimented schedule. So we and our dogs actually learn best through shorter segments that are more focused and more frequent than big, longer segments. The other really important thing to notice is, just because we're not in a formal training session where I grab my treat pouches doesn't mean that our dogs aren't learning. So to say that in a more positive way, your dogs are learning all of the time, regardless if you're training or not. So incorporating your training throughout your day is going to also be a really effective way to do this. Okay, so I would set a couple goals for the week, whatever you want to work on, even if it's just, I would like my dog to just not bolt through the door. I'd like them to wait and let me open the door and check for traffic, or not bowl me over. That's okay. It doesn't have to be like, we're working on sit and down and touch this week. It can be that. It can be just a skill, anything that you want to use and incorporate at home. So set some small goals, something that's achievable, and then maybe set aside 1 or 2 short training sessions. And when I say short, you can do 5 minutes, you can do 10 minutes, you can grab just 10 treats and do 10 repetitions of a behavior. You can do 5 treats of one behavior, 5 treats of another. I like to kind of incorporate them into my playtime with my dogs, or my walks with my dogs. So if we're playing outside, I might say, oh, we're working on waiting, or we're working on stay. Let's do some tugging. Let's throw a ball. Okay, let's do 5 treats of stay, and then let's go back into our play session. So it doesn't disrupt my day as much as it does incorporate into the time I'm already spending with my dog. So I want to kind of incorporate training as more of a lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, than have to really think about it as a chore. Kind of just as life goes on. One of the other things that we like to teach is our dogs to have some manners and say please. So that's something you can incorporate into everyday life. If you need your dog to sit and wait for you at the door, every time you're opening a door for your dog, that's just part of it. Every time you're putting their food bowl down, that's just part of it. You're waiting for that sit or that stay. Anything that you can kind of roll into what you'd like to see on a daily basis. If you put a little patience in those moments as regular practice, that can also really help. So that's how we practice during our days here. Okay, so Brittany asked a question. Do you think that carrying a dog whistle for off-leash dog instances would be helpful or harmful? I'm not familiar with them at all, but didn't know if it would create a trained fear instinct in my dog or cause other issues. Okay, so dog whistle is a high-pitched whistle at a frequency that humans don't hear very much, but is pretty loud to dogs. I have only used them as something that's trained because inherently, the only inherent thing is they might be annoying to the dogs. I'm not sure if there's anything else, but I've only trained them as a recall. So the dog hears the whistle and they come running. because it's trained that they hear the whistle, they get food, they hear the whistle, they get food, they hear the whistle, they get food. So they hear the whistle, they come running because they get food, and it carries a little bit better than your voice does, which would be why we use it. I would say that if you are going to use anything that would indicate your dog is about to get assaulted by another dog, it would create a fear instinct, because it would be the predictor that, like, oh, she blew the whistle, that means a dog is coming. So, you know, it kind of works that way. It's a really good question, though. I think we don't talk about dog whistles very often. They can be a really great tool for getting your dog to come from a long distance recall. I had a client a few years ago that it really saved her dog's life. Every day at dinner time, she'd blow the whistle 3 times, 3 short whistles, and then would put her dog's dinner bowl down. And she just did that every day for the dog's life. And after about 3 years, he was running into traffic, and she had the whistle on her. She just blew it 3 times, and he came right back running, because it was just a trained response that he knew food was coming, and that was his dinner. So it's a really cool tool to be able to use.